Arnold Samuels lives in Ocean Shores. I got to know him many years ago when I was an English teacher in Hoquiam. Every year when my 8th graders would read the play, The Diary of Anne Frank, they were dazzled by having Arnold come and tell his story about being born in Germany, being a Jewish man in Germany, immigrating to the United States, and then serving in the U.S. Army. And so I am thrilled that Wishkah and Central Park students get to hear it today. So please help me welcome 92-year-old, soon to be 93 in December, Arnold Samuels.
And understand me all. I was born in Germany in 1923, so I was about 10 years old when Hitler came into power. Younger than you kids. Consequently, I understood very little as to what was going on, politically or otherwise. Before Hitler's days, life was beautiful. I played with everybody. We had lots of sports. We had lots of games. Nobody ever cared what your religion was. Nobody ever asked what your religion was. Everybody was treated equally. It was a beautiful way of life. My hometown at that time had a population of about 3,000. We had a small public school. We had also a gymnasium, which is a middle school sort of. And I went through public school. We had no problems. Then Hitler came to power. How did he come to power? About 37% of the German people voted. The rest didn't give a damn. So out of the 37% of the votes, he got about 25% Hitler, who voted for Hitler. Did anybody know Hitler? Nobody knew about Hitler. Except there was a book out which he wrote while he was in jail in 1923, known as Mein Kampf, My Battle. It's in German. I have a copy of it, but nobody read it. Nobody cared. So consequently, the average German could care less about who Hitler was. But the 25% who voted for him were young people out of a job. Young people who were looking for work. Hitler promised them work. He didn't tell them what kind of work, but he promised them work. So that 25% got Hitler into power, which is a shame. It was after he took power, he established a dictatorship, and everything changed. The Constitution was torn up. Within a week or two, he wrote part of the Nuremberg laws. Every year, they had a meeting in Nuremberg where they declared new wars. Well, the first series of wars were all anti-Semitic. He was totally against the Jewish people. Nobody knew that except those who read Mein Kampf and were infuriated. And me, I was 10 years old. Even if I would have read Mein Kampf, I wouldn't have understood it. things changed. All of a sudden, you see the flags coming out of the various homes with the swastika. Within a couple of days after his election, I had a big torch parade through my hometown in the center, through the center of town. My parents were scared, but they didn't tell us kids anything. It was just one thing after another. All of a sudden, the Hitler Youth was established, which was the German Boys equivalent of the Boy Scouts in America. And every kid had to join the Hitler Youth. Of course, the Jewish kids weren't allowed to join. We were completely ostracized. The kids started fighting with us. I came home with a bloody nose several times. They were instigated to fight with us. We were told in school we got to sit back of the school. We couldn't sit with the kids. Every means was taken to discriminate against us. Well, this went on for several years, and of course things got worse every year. All of a sudden, the Nazis, almost everybody had to join the Nazi party in order to keep their jobs. They may not have been Nazis, but they had to join the party. Every teacher had to join the party. Every doctor had to join the party. Everybody that had a job had to join the party. What happened if you didn't join the party? Well, the first thing Hitler did is establish a concentration camp near Munich. The name of the camp was Dachau. I don't know if you ever heard of Dachau, but it was one of the infamous camps. And all the people who refused to accept the Hitler doctrine were sent to Dachau for re-indoctrination. And if they didn't accept the re-indoctrination, they never came out alive. Dachau became a killing camp. Eventually, they killed over 100,000 people in Dachau alone. Then they established other concentration camps in various other parts of the country. One of the biggest ones was in Poland. Everybody that didn't accept the Hitler doctrine went to the camps. All the Jews were gradually collected. By 1942, they all went to the various camps. So, half of my family disappeared in the camps. In about 1936, a good friend of my dad, who was also a good Nazi, came to him at midnight and said to him, "Really, that was my dad's name, get out. Get out of Hammelburg, that's the name of my hometown, because I can't protect you anymore." Things were going from bad to worse. He not only told my dad, but he told some other Jewish friends to get out. Well, my dad took him very seriously, and he started making contact with an aunt of his in America who was married to an attorney in Washington, D.C. And the attorney immediately get us to America. So in 1937, we arrived at Ellis Island, near New York, where we were screened and physically examined to make sure we don't have any diseases, and we were given the okay to go on to New York, where my dad and the lawyer received us. In the meantime, in Germany, things went from bad to worse. My mother kept writing to her sister until about 1939, when all of a sudden she got no more answers back, no more letters back, and no more answers. Nobody knew what was going on, and nobody knew what happened to those people. It's not until after the war, 1945, that we really understood what went on, what happened to these people, when we started liberating the various concentration camps. That's when we found out that they were all killed and taken care of in the ovens. Half of my family disappeared that way. We never knew what happened to them until later. I did a lot of research and found out where they were killed. And finally got traces on them. But they were gone, including three of my cousins about your age. They disappeared. And this started around 1939, 1940, when they had, in 1939, they had a Kristallnacht, the night of glass, where the Nazis went through all the towns and broke down the homes, and broke the windows, and broke into the various synagogues, and broke everything they could to get their hands on. So that is what happened up to 1945. Well, in 1941, I went through high school in New York. In 1941, the war broke out, and my brother and I went down to the draft board and volunteered for service. We had to get rid of Hitler. That was our mission. So, Japan bombed Pearl Harbor, and that was the beginning of World War II. In 1941, I entered the service, and in 1943, 1944 I think it was, I went overseas. We started getting deeply involved in the war. I went overseas. Went to England first, and from there I landed in France. My brother went to the Pacific. It was when I ended up in Marseille, France, I was sent to the Alsace-Lorraine to the Maginot Line and the Siegfried Line. That's how Hitler, by the way, employed all these young people. He started building up his military machine. He started building highways. He started building fortifications all over the borders, every border. He started building the Siegfried Line, which was a line protecting between Germany and Alsace-Lorraine and France. It was an anti-tank line. It also had guns, and it had all kinds of military equipment stored. I was given the mission to see what was at the Siegfried Line and where the guns were. So I went undercover. In other words, I became a spy. I went undercover along the Siegfried Line, and we were looking for the guns. There were 3 of us who spoke German, and we were able to talk to the Germans in Alsace-Lorraine. Most of the Germans in Alsace-Lorraine hated Hitler, and they helped us. They were on our side. They helped us. And then came the Free French, and they helped us. So we infiltrated some areas and found out where some of the heavy artillery was on the Siegfried Line. We passed the information on to the Free French, who passed it on to the Americans in England, and the next day they bombed the hell out of it. And within a few days, we started invading the Siegfried Line. Once we were across the Siegfried Line, our armies moved very fast. They captured one town after another. So by 1945, only 6 months after we broke the Siegfried Line, the war was over. So you can imagine how fast we moved. In 1945, after we took over Germany, the biggest job was to denazify Germany. That was a big job. Who were the real Nazis? Oh, by the way, we liberated Dachau the 19th of April, 1945. I have an album here of some pictures that I took while we were there. I was with a group that helped capture Dachau. And one of my jobs was immediately to go underground and find the real Nazis. Because once the Nazis found out that we were close, they undid the uniform, put on civilian clothes, got rid of the identifications, and mixed in with the prisoners. But fortunately, many of the prisoners were still capable of identifying these people. And we captured about 75% of them and gave them to military government for appropriate and punishment. In 1945, the Nuremberg trials took place also after the war. And of course, you all know what happened to all those, the big Nazi leaders. They hung them all. And then we hung many of the SS and the death head SS who did the murdering in the various concentration camps. In 1945, after the war, we had to denazify Germany to find people we could trust to work for the government, to re-establish a German government and a German police force. Eisenhower was looking for people who spoke German. And so I volunteered for an extra 2 years to help in that process. And he established what he called the Counterintelligence Corps, the CIC. And by the way, that's where I met Henry Kissinger. You all heard of Henry Kissinger? I hope. He was our head of the Department of State for quite a few years. And Henry and I moved in one of the towns and established an office there. And from there on, near Darmstadt, we started looking for the Nazis, and we were looking for anti-Nazis. We were looking to establish the German government. Well, it took about 2 years to do that. I left in 1947. The job was pretty well done. And Germany had its own government again. And the majority of Germans were very happy that we got rid of Hitler. It was a big, big change. Thank God we had a good military system and good machinery and good leadership to win that war. Otherwise, all of you kids would be in the Hitlerjugend if we would have lost that war. The world would be a different world if Hitler would have taken over. He took over quite a few countries in Europe. He killed over 10 million people. Not only Jews, but he hated the Gypsies, he hated the Mormons, and he hated several other religious organizations. So no one was safe. And that was it. That's my experience of the Holocaust.
Arnold does a wonderful job of explaining many, many years and what happened. Arnold also loves cookies. So here's some cookies for him to take home and enjoy. Now I'm sure some of you have questions. And so let's go ahead. If you've got a question for Arnold, we've got some time before the end of the period. And so raise your hand and I'll repeat the question for everybody.
Who's got a question? Yes. happened to your brother?
What happened to your brother who it was over in the
Oh,
Japanese section?
he was an Air Force photographer, and he helped liberate the Philippines in the Pacific area.
Did he live after the war?
Yeah. Oh yeah, he was back.
Good question. Mr. Hay?
Could you ask Arnold how something like what happened in Germany could happen here? Is there a way that it could happen here?
Is there a way that what happened in Germany, could it happen here in the United States, and how can we prevent that?
It depends how the young people will vote when that time comes. Know who you're voting for. Be careful who you elect. You elect the wrong people, yes, you can have a Nazi government. So when you come of age and you vote, make sure you know who you're voting for. That's important. That's what got Hitler into power. The people didn't vote. He only got 25% of the election, of the voters.
Mrs. Hayes, student, question.
How old were you when you started in the war?
How old were you when you were drafted and started in the war?
I was about, well, let's see, 21. I was about 1941. I was born in 23, so about 19 years old. I was a kid.
And he and his brother wanted to enlist, but they said, no, you're not a U.S. citizen. You can't enlist, but by gosh, we'll draft you. And they drafted him. So, question from Mrs. Hayes, chaperone?
Yes. The prisoners from Dachau, how did they react when they saw soldiers come towards their prison?
Oh, great question. The prisoners in Dachau, how did they react when you came to liberate
Oh
Dachau?
my God. I can't explain.